up tonight on the news at 5.
Last week I had a third of my departments out, nurses. I had a third of them out.
More nurses are headed to the VA to assist with staffing shortages. Plus, the pandemic isn't stopping some people from flying to see loved ones on Thanksgiving.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Jessica Nelson. Thank you for joining us. Due to the increase of coronavirus cases and hospitalizations, the Montana VA has made some changes to their COVID protocols. MTN's John Riley met with staff who say they are getting stretched very thin.
The Montana VA has restricted all visitors to only end-of-life care or to provide transportation for the patient. Staff will be doing more telehealth visits where possible and reducing the number of elective procedures.
What we have done is prioritize certain ones over others. A part of that is because of staffing. We want to make sure we don't just continue our services, but also protect the staff.
Staffing has become a concern for the Montana VA, just like many other hospitals in the state. Nurses and doctors are catching the virus in the community, and the ICU staff, who are on the front lines of the pandemic, are no exception.
Last week I had a third of my departments out, nurses. I had a third of them out. It's making staffing very difficult.
Earlier this year, the Montana VA sent nurses to other parts of the country to help with the hardest hit areas by the pandemic. Montana is now one of those hardest hit areas, with more than 20 out-of-state nurses assisting the VA directly. The VA is currently making preparations for surge capacity to meet the expected increase in hospitalizations if current trends hold. Nurses say there is no comparison to how difficult the pandemic has been.
We've lost an employee, so that was very hard. We've had young people in the ICU that we've had to fly out. We've had to fly people out. The problem that we're going to have is pretty soon we're not going to have anywhere to fly people, and so they're going to be here. With us. We are a lower level critical care facility, and so we draw on our resources in the VA a lot, but at some point they're going to be full and they won't be able to take our patients.
A big concern right now is if Thanksgiving meals aren't kept small and mask mandates aren't followed, there'll be an even bigger spike in the coming weeks, and we won't have the resources to deal with it. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
A composite of state and locally reported data shows Montana cases of COVID-19 increased to over 57,000. More than 15,000 of those are active. 8 more deaths have been reported since last night, bringing Montana's COVID-19 death total to 652. MTN is using a combination of these sources to deliver the most accurate count on cases each day. Local county health departments may be alerted to cases before Montana DPHHS. And using that local data means there will be times when MTN coronavirus data does not align with the state report. Time now for a check of our forecast. Curtis is just dishing out beauty this whole week so far.
Thank you. Yes, that run of beautiful weather might come to an end tomorrow, but hey, how about this? And I like that pun, dishing out the beauty. Hey, there you can see big sky, beautiful sunset here. Big sky opening up in just a couple of days. Not much snow in the forecast, though, for the skiers and riders out there. There is a winter weather advisory in the western part of the state and a high wind warning for the Rocky Mountain front, but that's for the next storm. That will be coming in tomorrow. Maybe not as nice, a little on the wintry side tomorrow. Some snow, some wind, some blowing snow. Not for everybody, though. Thanksgiving Day, the weather, though, it's for the birds, and you might want to go wash your car. If you want a nice clean car, you don't have to worry about any storms here really besides tomorrow. And if you're one of those that is kind of hoping for a little precipitation and you want to try to jinx the whole thing by washing your car and then it snows or rains right after, go ahead and do it. Either way, it's a good time to wash your car. More of the full forecast coming up.
You must have a dirty car. The Montana chapter of the ACLU is celebrating after winning a high-profile lawsuit against Customs and Border Patrol in Havre. The lawsuit was filed after a Border Patrol agent questioned and detained 2 women last year because they were speaking Spanish. Customs and Border Patrol has agreed to pay the 2 women an undisclosed amount of money. The ACLU says this case uncovered a history of racial profiling against Hispanics and a now deleted Facebook group in which Customs and Border Patrol's officers joked about the deaths of migrants. According to the ACLU, the officer who questioned the two women in Havre was a member of the group. Here is the quote from the ACLU. As noted in paragraph 4 of the settlement agreement, it is in no way intended to be and should not be construed as an admission of liability or faults on the part of the United States, its agents, servants, or employees, and it is specifically denied that they are liable to the plaintiffs. That is the statement from Customs and Border Patrol. The Social Security Administration says the number of scammers is on the rise. A new report from Simply Wise shows 47% of people have been targeted by scam artists in just the last 3 months. For seniors, that number jumps to 53%. The report shows seniors received 3 or more scam attempts in that span. The SSA says scammers will either call or send an email asking the target to verify personal information. The agency says be suspicious of unsolicited or anonymous calls or people who ask for unusual forms of payment, such as wire transfers, gift cards, or even Bitcoin. Health officials, including those at the CDC, are urging people not to travel for Thanksgiving. But at airports across the country, people are traveling. MTN's Coulter Amstad is at Great Falls International Airport with more.
The holiday rush is on.
Really, since Friday, we noticed that the parking lot was filling in a little bit, and the checkpoint seemed a little busier.
But it's not your typical holiday rush. According to AAA, Thanksgiving holiday air travel is expected to drop 50% this year, with less than 2.5 million people taking to the sky for some turkey and pumpkin pie.
I miss my family. I haven't seen them in over 6 months, so I wanted to see them.
We were going to stay in Great Falls, but our daughter and her husband have the virus, and so our plans changed at the last minute, and our kids from Dallas were driving up, and they decided at the last minute that they weren't, and they said, Mom, why don't you and Dad just come down here?
Passengers say they're taking the virus seriously, though.
We are careful, and if we do get it, we're believers, so it's the Lord saying it's our time.
I made sure everybody was healthy before I booked my flight. I wear my mask, I make sure my hands are clean, I make sure that I'm not touching everything, and I'm trying to distance myself from everybody.
If you are flying, Airport Director Gianforte says your flight may be the least of your worries.
And there was some new information just came out last week that shows that the virus lasts very short period of time on a plane. Just seconds because of the air handling system. And so your chances of getting the virus on the aircraft are incredibly low.
Going and now gone. All tickets for the 2020 drawing of Montana Millionaire have been sold, once again selling out in record time. Tickets sold out before 5 p.m. on Monday, 9 days earlier than in 2019 and 4 days before the first early bird drawing. Touted by Montana Lottery as the best chance to win $1 million, only 180,000 tickets were sold, with ticket sales beginning on November 1st. The Montana Lottery will be holding their first early bird drawing this Friday and another on December 11th. The grand prize drawing will be held sometime between December 25th and January 1st. Okay, when we come back, Curtis has a full forecast update for us, and later on, a couple of Republican stronghold states voted in favor of legalizing marijuana. We take a look at the shift happening around legalization in our country.
Weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevins.
All right, welcome back. Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. We've got some wind out there right now. High wind warning for the Rocky Mountain front. That wind will howl through the day tomorrow, and maybe not so bad by tomorrow afternoon. There will be a wind, but look at what happens here on Thanksgiving. Some pretty strong wind right along and just east of the Continental Divide, and some of that pretty strong wind will move out into the central part of the state here. So, if there is one bad thing about the weather here for Thanksgiving, it will be the wind. We will have a decent amount of sunshine, though. Pretty colors out there. Guys are looking at the high woods in Great Falls now. Temperature of 38 degrees and Speaking of wind, some gusts to 37 miles per hour. Pretty windy day around Helena. Right now only 10 miles per hour with a temperature of 38. 27 up in Glasgow. Pretty much everyone else into the 30s. Not the warmest of days out there today, but it was kind of nice if you were able to get into some sunshine and out of the wind. Here you can see the lighter wind the farther east you go in the state, but some pretty hefty wind. Livingston, Great Falls, and up there around Cup Bank and off of the Rocky Mountain front. On the radar, nothing. And get used to this. Not going to look at much in the way of precipitation over the next 7 to 10 days or so. There's a fairly decent storm here moving through the central part of the country. Some snow into the Great Lakes and those yellow flashes there indicating where there are severe thunderstorm warnings. This was a nice little snow event for the Denver area with as much as about a half a foot down there in the Mile High City. So snow for Montana, a little bit coming through tomorrow. There is a winter weather advisory up here for the higher terrain of northwestern Montana. It does include Lookout Pass if anybody is traveling that way for tomorrow. We may get a couple of snow showers around Helena, maybe even down into the valley here. Great Falls should be dry, but it's mainly up into the mountains where you will find the snow tomorrow. And again, Marias Pass, Rogers Pass, McDonald Pass in the morning hours, down there around Homestake Pass, Bozeman Pass looking at some snow. Boulder Pass might have a little snow as well, but mainly it's wind and a couple of flakes of snow out there. And then heading into Wednesday night, a few snow showers in the western mountains, but here we are on Thanksgiving, turkey in the oven maybe by about 6:30 in the morning, and looking at a decent amount of sunshine. Okay, couple little flakes of snow here or there, the little belts, the big belts, the Bear Paws picking up some snow, a couple of snow showers around the Moccasin Mountains, the Judith Peaks there into Fergus County, but talking snow showers elsewhere, partly sunny skies, and a bit of wind out there. The snow staying up in the higher terrain here. You can see maybe a couple inches up on the Continental Divide. Looking beyond that into Friday, looking like a pretty nice day. Mostly sunny skies as well. Temperatures a little above average. Saturday, a minor front going through. There may be a couple of snowflakes or a few raindrops north central Montana. Sunday looks dry. Monday looks dry. Tuesday looks dry, and so on, etc., etc. Dry weather for Wednesday and Thursday as well. Here's the forecast for tonight. A very windy night, Browning and Cup Bank and Choteau and Great Falls. Temperatures not as cold as they were last night into this morning, 20s to about 30 degrees. Nice starry night out there. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. Big day tomorrow with a lot of wind and again some snow. Marias Pass, maybe a little snow right along the Rocky Mountain front, but really north central Montana, just very windy tomorrow. Maybe a couple of isolated flakes of snow, but no accumulation, and a few snow showers around Helena as well. Certainly up there on Great Divide, McDonald Pass, Elliston, Lincoln, likely getting some snow through tomorrow morning, maybe an inch or two of accumulation. There's the 7-day forecast for Helena. So a few snow showers around in the morning hours. It's a blustery day. It's a cool day. Thanksgiving, a blustery day, a cool day, but we have some sunshine, and look at that. See, that's why you want to wash your car when you have nice dry weather like that without any rain or snow in the forecast. Get bang for your buck. And then for Great Falls, looking at a mostly cloudy, windy day tomorrow. Thanksgiving, partly cloudy, windy, and cool, but not too bad. And then we're in the 40s and 50s from Friday through the weekend.
Governor-elect Greg Gianforte unveiled his first cabinet pick today. He announced that former U.S. Attorney for Montana, Kurt Alme, will be his budget director. Alme just announced on Monday that he's stepping down as U.S. Attorney, a post he's held in Billings since 2017. Gianforte said voters gave his administration a clear mandate to boost the economy and hold the line on state spending. He says Alme has the experience and intellect to help implement that mandate. Gianforte won election this month to become Montana's first Republican governor in 16 years. Alme is originally from Miles City, and it's not the first time he's served in a Republican cabinet. In Montana, he was state revenue director under Governor Judy Martz in the early 2000s. Republican stronghold states voted in favor of marijuana for the first time this election. Both South Dakota and Montana voted to legalize recreational use of the drug. Here's a look at the shift happening around legalization in our country.
We could be trite and say support for legalization is higher than ever.
Once people legalize it, they like it. They like the prohibition ending.
But when you look at the numbers, it is difficult to point to the contrary.
It was no small number. This didn't just squeak by.
In former U.S. Attorney Brendan Johnson's state of South Dakota, the vote to legalize marijuana on November 3rd passed with 54% approval, while 62% of the residents voted to re-elect Donald Trump as president, a once partisan discrepancy that can also be seen in Montana, where 57% of the electorate voted for Trump and 58% voted for legalization.
Part of our state's libertarian streak, which leads people to believe, hey, the government doesn't have a role to play in this, and frankly, prohibition has not been effective, I think carried the day, along with the real economic costs of continuing to build larger and larger prisons across the state.
According to Johnson, 10% of the state's arrests are for marijuana possession, oftentimes a few grams. He says it's a number that is seen in states countrywide and one that has swayed Republicans to vote for a bill they once may have not. In 1992, only about 25% of the party supported legalization, where today that number stands at 53%.
It became very hard to point towards legalization and say that there was anything that was moving the top line numbers.
Andrew Friedman helped implement Colorado's marijuana laws when the state became the first to legalize recreational pot in 2014. He says it became a case study for others who thought the drug would lead to more arrests, youth use, and crime. All things that never transpired, according to the Crime and Justice Research Alliance.
There's a lot of Republicans who believe in less government and who think that the war on drugs was a failure and would themselves be for legalization, but there were a lot of unanswered questions. And now more and more questions are getting answered, and so they're having fewer reasons to say no.
In 6 years, 15 states have voted to legalize recreational marijuana, while 35 have legalized medical use, a joint domino effect that Friedman only expects to roll into the future. I'll see myself out.
But I expect to see a growing course of Republican leadership that are looking for legalization.
I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
Coming up next, Sam Hoyle previews Helena High School basketball seasons during the ongoing pandemic. Stay with us.
News leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
Thanks for keeping it here with us. In just under 2 weeks, Montana high school basketball teams will begin practices. MTN's Sam Hoyle takes a look at some of the key differences with this year and years past, as well as some of the challenges that these coaches will face.
With fall sports officially over in Montana, we find ourselves in a bit of a lull. Originally, winter sports practices were supposed to start last Thursday, but now, due to the pandemic, the MHSA has officially changed that start date to December 7th.
But nonetheless, the season is still slated to begin, and Helena Capital Girls basketball coach Katie Garson-Forbes says with the way the COVID-19 pandemic abruptly ended the season last year, they're not taking anything for granted this year.
Our season could end at any point in time. We experienced that last year, obviously. And so I think for us as a coaching staff, we're trying to approach it with the players that we don't want to take anything for granted. The time that we have together is incredibly lucky, and we want to make the most out of every single day.
Across town, Helena High girls basketball coach Ben Dudek is in his first year as a head coach for the Bengals and said he's actually a fan of the later start date because it gives his players a bit more time to rest up ahead of the season.
Most of our stuff was already in place. We were ready to go whenever that particular date came. So, it gives certain players, volleyball players and soccer players, that their seasons maybe went a little bit longer than they would have to get some rest and not have practice and games every day of the week.
Though with the winter season comes a certain set of challenges, namely Thanksgiving and Christmas, something Helena Capital boys basketball head coach Guy Almquist is worried about.
How much can you really ask the kids to follow certain guidelines when they're with their families on the holidays? I'm not real comfortable with that myself as a coach. It still is high school sports, and so I don't usually get too involved in that, but there's a significant risk.
Another worry for Helena High head boys basketball coach Brandon Day is keeping a team close mentally, but not close physically.
Trying to still have that same team chemistry, but also keep your space is going to be something that'll be a challenge. And then, just trying to figure out how to best have a normal practice and to get something out of practice is going to be tough.
Challenges or not, the high school winter sports season begins on December 7th. Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
Definitely a very different year all around. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hello from Wilmington, Delaware, where I've just finished a sit-down interview with President-elect Joe Biden, his first since the election. We talk about the COVID vaccine, the distribution plan, unifying the country, and the official transition now underway. More when we see you tonight on Nightly News.
News leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's all for us tonight. Nightly News is next. Have a great rest of your night.